Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the West Hartford Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for November 16th, 2021. Charlotte, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Aronson?
Present.
Dr. Chang?
Here.
Ms. Poland?
Here.
Dr. Steinberg?
Here.
Dr. Thomas Farquharson?
Here.
Ms. Wilcox?
Here.
Mr. Zedanowitz?
Here.
Student Representative Avery Woods Weber?
Here.
And Student Representative Andrew Maglio?
Present.
Thank you. Andrew, would you please lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm making a motion that we suspend the rules to add 2 agenda items this evening. The first would be to receive the resignation of Board Member Mark Zadanowitz. The second would be to vote on the nomination of Ethan Goldman to fill the vacancy. I'm making the motion, and can I have a second on the motion to suspend the rules and open the agenda for these 2 agenda items?
Seconded.
Thank you, Lorna. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, I will try your minds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you. Next, we do have a revision to the agenda order, and the recommendation is that the order of the agenda be changed to put the following agenda items before unfinished business, and this is going to be the order for the evening. Number 1, receive the resignation of Mark Zadanowitz, then recognition of outgoing board members, then induction of newly elected board members, a brief recess, new board members will take seats at the board table, election of officers and board organization, and vote on nomination of new board member. May I have a motion for that recommendation to change the agenda order?
So moved.
Thank you, Ari. And a second?
Second.
Seconded by Lorna. She beat you to it, Mark. Any discussion? I will try your minds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes for the revision to the agenda order. Thank you. Next, we have public communications, and there weren't any names on the sign-up sheet when I went over there, but if there are members of the public who wish to make comment this evening, we will receive them. Comments are provided up here at this podium, so if you're interested in providing a comment, you can stand up and let me know. And if not, I will just move on to the next item. Okay. Is there somebody or no? Okay. Thank you. We will move on then. The next item is the receipt of the resignation of Mr. Zedanowitz, and I am seeking a motion to receive the resignation of Mark Zedanowitz effective 11/16/2021 at 6:30 p.m. Is there a motion? Anyone?
So moved.
Thank you, Liz. Does anyone want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Jason. Is there any discussion? If not, I will try your minds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions, and the ayes have it. Congratulations, we have received your resignation. Next, we will have recognition of outgoing board members. I might need to do this a little slowly because it's going to be before 6:30 by the time we're done. But we will start by recognizing our colleague Amanda Aronson, and I will start with you, Dr. Chang.
Thank you for this opportunity to say a few words. One thing that I have appreciated when serving on the board is to learn from you about how you see the whole student, not just the individual, but their networks, their surroundings, their environment, and not only thinking about them now, but into their future and their past. It's an impressive, in sociology, they talk about the historical imagination which forms students and which leads them into the future, and have learned so much from you, and I know that you'll continue that work out in the community, so thank you.
I'm going to be very sad to see you leave the board. We kind of started together this process with campaigning together, so I will always remember you by that. But I appreciate all of the hard work you've done in the short time that you've been on the board. I want to recognize all of your hard work on the policy committee, and with so many changes that have been made, and you're an integral part of that. And then the other piece that I always find really endearing is that regardless of the topic being spoken about in a meeting, you always take the time to pause and say, I just want to make sure that for anybody listening, this is what you mean, and really serving as that kind of clarification for any issues that are brought about within a meeting, that you are there to kind of be the representative for everybody who's outside of these walls. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Amanda. I don't like to say goodbye, so just going to say see you later, but so very much appreciate all of the time and dedication you have put to the board, to our town, to our young people. But what I most importantly appreciate is you were already doing the work beforehand. This was another opportunity to continue with the work, and knowing that the adventures you will continue beyond here will continue doing the same. I greatly also appreciate how you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and you allow to lead by example, and you do unto others what you yourself are practicing. So thank you so much for you, and see you later.
Amanda, when we were looking for somebody to fill the vacancy when Dr. Cheryl Greenberg stepped down off of the board, and we met you, it immediately became clear that we wanted to have you on the board as soon as we could. Your insight from your many different professional hats that you've worn, as well as your personal life and your experience as a mom and a member of this community, serves us so well. And I truly appreciate your perspective on the board as well as your friendship. So I look forward to just catching up with you a different time. And thank you for your service to West Hartford.
Amanda. Amanda and I worked together on the bridge, as some of you may or may not know. And so it really was a pleasure coming in to know that I had a friend and someone who could shepherd me in and show me the ropes a little bit. Amanda and I worked on the policy committee together and also did union negotiations. And Amanda is the most genuine person. She has a heart of gold. And I'm pretty sure I've never heard her say a bad word about anyone. So you've been an asset on the board, and I'm sure everyone's sad to see you go. So thank you.
So Amanda, everyone, really hit some highlights here, and I agree with everyone. Is what really comes through is your compassion. One is for the student, one is for the teachers, and one is for your town, and one is overall just your compassion as a person. It really shines bright in you, and it's something that you can't deny, and I really like that about you. You've always had the student in mind and the classrooms, and you've never been political. It's never been ideology with you. It's been about taking care of the students, and you've been a really good friend to those students. And I'm always amazed, even when I go to sporting events, that we at some point we really actually didn't know each other at the time, and yet she's like, how's Ryan, how's Julia, how's Jenna? You always did that, and I was always just like blown away, because as many people as I can't remember kids' names, and it just amazed me. And even your husband, who I met, he's like, hey Mark, how you doing? And it just it was always comforting. We spent Saturday in Vermont watching our kids run in the New Englands. So it's always been a pleasure. What you bring to this table is going to be sorely missed, and I'll miss you too, but I'll still see you around town. And I'll say see you later, not bye.
All right, we will move on to recognizing our colleague Liz Wilcox, and I'll start again with you, Jason.
Yeah, so Liz, it's been great to be in this, in coming together for the last year in the middle of a pandemic. We went through, our kind of orientation together, and I was always impressed with, no matter what the subject was, that your attention to detail, whether it's a budget or a classroom projection size or the policy, the union the contracts, and the equity policy. I mean, this is incredible work, and really, sad to see you go.
All right, Jason stole some of the things I was going to say, and he was the first one. So, Liz, I wish we had had more time to work together on the board. I do feel like some of our time was a little, it wasn't as genuine because for so many of our meetings, we were on Zoom. So I wish I had had more time to be in person with you. I really appreciate whatever topic was discussed. When you responded, it was with a thoughtful and with a very attention-oriented question. You never just asked questions for the sake of asking them, which I really appreciate. And I really feel like we didn't get enough time together. So I'm sad to see you go. But I wish you the best in whatever you decide to do moving forward.
So Liz, I will say the same to you, not saying goodbye, saying see you later. And although formally this was our first time interacting together on the board, quickly, once learning that you also are a PLTI graduate, as am I, that was like, oh, we're already connected. And you certainly have represented your class well. And so knowing what you do, knowing what you're passionate about for the person, for who they are, and knowing that you will continue to support and advocate for others, see great things for you. So see you later, but thank you so much for the time we've had here together.
Liz, you accepted the invitation to join the board in the middle of a pandemic, and I guess we had another person do that too, Jason. So we're so appreciative of your willingness to do that and to serve the students and families and teachers of West Hartford Public Schools. I've really appreciated getting to know you, and I look forward to your continued civic service in one way or another.
So when Deb just mentioned that you came on the board during the pandemic, so we all have so much respect for the fact that you knew what you were signing up for, and I think that takes a very special person to do that. And when we weren't sure who was going to get appointed when Rob needed to resign, and when we saw that it was you, I just breathed such a sigh of relief because we have known each other for well over a decade, and I knew, as I was describing you, I said, Liz is such a clear thinker. She's so child-centered. She's so firm in her beliefs, but yet open to conversation and dialogue. And I just knew that you would take the work seriously, that you would be prepared, and that you would put everything that you had into it. And that is exactly what has happened. And having served with you through 2 rounds of negotiations and through policy, you brought your legal acumen to everything and your measured mind, but always with a child-centered focus. And it's a very rare combination of skills. And as Ari mentioned, you're just such a clear communicator. And I think that when you speak and when you ask a question, it is carefully considered. And this is a serious role, and I knew that you would take it seriously, and I am so sad that you are not going to be on the board at this point, but I'm always going to be texting you to consider doing it again. I have your number. So maybe that will be the case. So, thank you.
So Liz, well, I met Liz on a computer in New Hampshire over Zoom, and when we interviewed her, I knew of her. She comes with with a great reputation. But it was during the middle of the pandemic, and like you said, you knew what you were signing up for. But you came in, and I've seen a few people come and go in this board after 9 years. You came in very seamlessly. The learning curve was almost not there, and that's to your intellect, to your compassion, your reasoning. It really was forthright right there. You immediately made an impact, and that's not easy to do, because I could tell you when I came on, there was a learning curve. There's a lot to know in the Board of Ed. So, and I know you're not done. You have a lot to offer, and your service to this town, even the students and everyone, will continue. I know, because you have that compass that for serving and being able to provide your selfless service to the community. So it's been a pleasure to know you. You have made my job easier and delightful, quite honestly. I don't consider this really a job per se. It's more of a passion, and you shared that with me. And I can't thank you enough. You were that sounding board when I needed reasoning. Here I am, the experienced guy on here, but when I needed advice, and you were always there for it, and I want to thank you for it. And you were a great teammate and a great asset to the board, and I continue to cheer you on for anything you want to do. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, and finally, recognition of Mark Zadanowitz.
Hi, Mark. I want to just say how fast you are at hitting the button. I sat over there at the beginning, and yeah, well, I've really appreciated the, as you said, the 9 years, the institutional memory that you bring to this, and to be able to see how the district has evolved over that time, and particularly during the pandemic, and to see the strength of the community that you've helped build carry through such turbulent times. It was really eye-opening to me to see the time and the work that you've put in being on the board, and I just want to thank you. Yeah.
So Jason stole my comments again. I'm going to just reword them. I feel like you are our historical vantage point on this board, and your knowledge and understanding of how policies have changed and shifted, and how curriculum has changed and shifted, just provides so much value to this board that will be missed, because we won't have that person anymore to kind of shine that light on how things were and how they've developed over time. So you might be getting calls just for, advice and such. But I do also want to congratulate you on kind of taking the next step. I think our town council is very lucky to have you. I will say we have not always agreed on certain topics or matters here on the board table, but I always respect your opinion, and despite any differences, I know that our intentions are always for the better of our children, our families, and our towns. So even when we would disagree, you were always respectful. There was never, any hard feelings. And I think that's part of the process here, having different views and opinions, but being able to kind of work through them. So I will really miss having you here at the table.
So, Mark, I was trying to see how serious I was going to be or a little silly. I'm going to do a little combination of both. I again, not saying goodbye, saying see you later. I'm smiling only because when I first came on the board, you had already 5 years of experience, and certainly appreciated that, respected that, and also was quite clear in the assertive way in which you would express your thoughts and opinions. And that's all right, because I like to do the same. And so for that, what I have always respected about you is even in those moments when we may agree to disagree, you still maintained a sense of conviction for our shared purpose. and that is advocating and supporting the children in our town, the children in our community. So even though by observation we may appear different, we may be on different sides of the aisle, we're in the same auditorium watching the same show. And I appreciate your dedication to that. So with you moving on to other areas, doing other things, I imagine you will continue to do the same, and I encourage you for that. And thank you for your service, thank you for your time, and see you later.
Mark, I'm trying to remember if you and I met on a soccer field or a basketball court. It was definitely one of those. And so we've known each other for a while as our daughters played sports together for a number of years. And when I first came on the board, you and I both have very direct speaking styles, and that doesn't always work out so well. But I think for me, over the last year or so, I do feel that you and I have come to a good sense of appreciation for what each brings, and I certainly value what you bring to this table. And I was thinking, well, you know, first Mark went fishing, and then Mark went hunting. Maybe Mark will stay at the board table, but but the residents of West Hartford saw fit to elect you to our town council, and so we'll just stay in touch, and I'll find you on another sports field someday. Thank you for your service.
Well, I don't know how many people get to see you around the community with in your car, but Mark has a large car, and it is almost always filled with children to the brim. And it is just one example of what an incredible family man you are. And I see Nella here supporting you, and it's been an incredible thing because whenever I look at any sports game, you're there as a family, and you take everybody home, and you've got something planned. And I think that really symbolizes the heart of what you bring to your work. And to serve something for 9 years is an incredible contribution to any community. It takes a lot of stamina, and I've watched you serve our community through the schools as a veteran, and to model that dignity of service for our community, especially our students who don't always get to see that up close. And I've also seen how you think and all the different decisions you could have made this year on this Board of Ed. And what I saw was that you led with community first and making sure that our community stayed together. And we made, I think, history, I would hope, that we passed 2 unanimous budgets. We passed unanimous policy. You know, that's not something that happens in our country right now, and it's a deeply special thing, and our community is the better for it. And we challenge each other's thinking, and that's part of doing this job properly. And it's just something that I certainly don't take for granted. And when I sat at the board table, I knew that you were part of what has made my children's experience strong in this town. And I know that you will be up at the council table protecting education and fighting for our kids, and I trust you with that, and I thank you for your service. So Mark, so much to say. Like Mark said, we did not know each other before we started, and it's always a little bit hard coming in not knowing what you're going to get, but Mark truly was the best teacher, showed me the ropes. Mark can seem a little gruff and a little testy around the edges, but he is really not like that. He is a great guy, and always answered all my questions, always willing to explain something a little bit more for me, give me advice about this or that. So he's a great teacher. And the other thing that I guess we'll all miss Mark. I encouraged Mark to step up and run for town council, and he was a little bit iffy on it at first, but now we won his campaign, and we all will really miss him on the board, or the new people. His 9 years, his wealth of knowledge, Mark does what he says. He is a stand-up guy. That's from the military, just his personality. You can always count on, he'll tell you, he's not going to tell you what you want to hear, he's going to tell you what he thinks, and he's going to follow through. So I think that's been, for me, really easy to work with, because I like people who are straightforward. So I wish you the best. I know we become friends, so we'll stay in touch, and I'm happy to see you still doing something for the town of West Hartford, because you really do great work.
Thank you.
On behalf of the other colleagues around the table, just a small token of our esteem for each of you. And this one's for you. And this is for Liz. Do you want to say anything?
Just
We'll have
also,
a-
just as a
yeah.
reminder, there's
Oh,
a
yes.
Town of West Hartford chair that is yours. Mark, someday you'll have two now, one from each side. You have a matching set. That will be delivered to your home for each of you for service, customary for members of the Boards of Education, as a memento of your service and as a thanks. So thank you all.
Thank you. And if each of you would like to make remarks, we'll start with Amanda.
Well, I won't be quick, but I won't be long. I'm going to go for the middle. I'll try to be quick. Okay.
I'm only saying to be
Yeah.
quick because we promised town council would be done at 6:55.
Okay, so I'll try to whip something off the top of my head, which is usually where my thoughts come from. So, I mean, this has been a privilege of a lifetime to serve our community during this time, and to get to do it with one community team, as we've been calling it, with this staff and these teachers and this administration and this superintendent and this board team. It's really a privilege, and I am leaving here knowing exactly how lucky I am as a parent to live in this town, and I trust you with all of this work. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that because we are a sophisticated district and we have our foundation solid and we do our basics well, we've had time to get into that next level of work, and we have considered in serious times the danger of omission. And what I mean by that is that in education, we have these impassioned and substantive conversations about what we do and the actions we take and what we include in our work. And we receive feedback and consider any potential harmful actions that may come from our work. But truly child-centered systems, as we are here, also takes the time to consider and have impassioned and substantive conversations about inaction and the potentially harmful effects of what happens when we exclude things from our work. And I appreciate that, because a Board of Education is in charge of nearly 9,000 children. It's a huge responsibility, and I know the board will continue considering the difference, bless you, between harmful action or harmful inaction. But I hope that as a community that we'll get to do that too. It's an important conversation. It's a longer conversation, but it's one that serves children best. So I think that's where my head is tonight. I will miss all of you, but I'm really not going anywhere, so I'm not going to say goodbye. But thank you. Thank you. I'm going to be much briefer than Amanda. And I'm just going to say it has been a pleasure and a privilege to serve alongside of all of you. I've enjoyed my time on the board, although it's been brief and a little unusual during a pandemic. And I hope to work with all of you again in some capacity. Thank you.
I think first and foremost, after 9 years, I've got to thank my wife for being gone. There are many times where back when I first started, I still was in the military and at the family business, and I would sit in the parking lot for an hour, maybe 2 hours, just on conference calls, and then come into the meeting. So there's days that I wouldn't get home until much later. So she's put up with a lot over the last 9 years, and it's not just board stuff either. So thank you, appreciate it, and my kids as well. I couldn't be here. I wouldn't have the time if I couldn't. But we've been here a long time. I got on the board, Sandy Hook, some of the big issues that came through here, the kind of work that we did as a board to get our schools safer was remarkable. We went through the mascot imagery. I still think to this day that I say mascot, we've never really had the mascots, there's always imagery, but I think it was the largest meeting we had ever on a Board of Ed. We had to go to down the hall, standing room only. The high school start times we went through, we put in a new elementary school. We went through a pandemic. And these are just a few of the things, right? These are just kind of a few of the things. Some of the things that I really remember, and I still remember fondly right now, is the graduation speeches that we were able to do, and I was honored to do, and I promised my oldest, or she asked me to, and I tried to promise, because you have to get elected to this position, to give her graduation speech, and I was thankful that I could, so that's something that sits there in my memory. The convocation speech that I was able to do, too, is something that I'll always remember. And I was able to do a couple of military graduation speeches where our graduates were going on to military after, and that was always something that was really passionate for me as well, and it was an honor for me to do that. And I hope through all these times, too, that I didn't bring really ideology to the table. I brought compassion. I brought what was right for the kids, with the students, the teachers, our school system, and our town. And we often got along. I know, Deb, you said, you know, if we agreed to disagree, it was about our passion. It really was. It wasn't that I didn't believe in something you were saying, or I didn't like a person. It had never had nothing to do with that. It was always about the kids and the students. I served with many along this, and I said the board will change and it'll look different. I've always said that. You know, another highlight that I had was I was part of the team that hired Tom, because one of our things that we do as a board is we hire a superintendent, and it was probably one of the greatest pleasures to do that. As many people might not know, he just got Superintendent of the Year for the state of Connecticut, and you know, that's a remarkable thing. I've always known that. He's his compassion, he doesn't need notes to make speeches and remember names and things like that. He's our watchtower for our school system, and I know that it's in good hands. It always has been. Tom, you're a remarkable superintendent, and we've not always agreed on a lot of things, right? But we were reasonable people, and we would walk away still shaking hands and smiling. And I appreciate that about you. A true leader. You know, in the military, there's a lot of leaders, even in our businesses. But Tom, you've really shown like kind of a beacon of leadership, and it shows. And I want to say thank you, and it's been great getting to know you. I've always served, and I've always had the opportunity to serve with student reps, and Avery and Andrew, I hope you continue. I know that I asked you to continue with the sports going forward. I hope that you go on to your next person that you will talk to, and that you pass on that knowledge, because that's something that we lost in the pandemic. So I appreciate it. Your passion and your time that you take away from your schoolwork is noted, and we're a better board for having student reps on. So I want to say thank you and appreciate your service too. So it's been 9 years, and it seems like it's been 9 days, because it's not been a job, it's been a passion. And the decision to run for town council was not taken lightly. It was a very difficult decision, because this is where, you know, this is where I consider you guys like a political family, if you will. This is really, you know, just like any family, you don't agree, disagree, and things like that, but you're there, and you move forward to make a better household and a better community, better And that's what we did. And I appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for all the kind words and appreciate that. I won't say goodbye. I'll say so long, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you. And Jason, I'm going to get quicker at the finger there.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the induction of newly elected board members. And so I'd like to call forward our town clerk, Essie LeBreau. And Essie, you can guide and tell us what to do next.
Okay, you can come forward. And if you want to stand in front. Whoops. Raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully West Hartford Board of Education, to the best of your abilities? It's like a 2-minute. Okay, let me grab my. Yes. Switch in a minute. All right. I move that Tom Moore act as temporary chairperson of this meeting for the purpose of electing a chairperson for the Board of Education. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Jason. Any discussion? If not, I will try your minds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Abstentions? The ayes have it. And Mr. Moore, you are now our temporary chair.
All right, thank you. The meeting will please come to order. Nominations are now in order for the office of chairperson. Do I have any nominations?
Yes, I would like to nominate Lorna Thomas Farquharson to be the chairperson of the West Hartford Board of Education.
Okay, Dr. Thomas Farquharson is nominated. Do I have any more nominations?
I'd like to second the nomination.
Thank you. It's one of those weird things, it's not actually necessary in this.
We recognize that it's
I
not
know.
necessary, we just like it.
It's-
It's not prohibited.
Well, it's the purview of the board. Are there any further nominations for the office of chairperson? If not, nominations are closed. Those in favor of Dr. Thomas Farquharson for chairperson say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Well, we have a new chair of the Board of Education, Dr. Lorna Thomas Farquharson.
All right, well, thank you all so much. And with that, let's continue moving ahead. And we'll now call for a nomination for the election of vice chairperson. Is there a nomination?
I nominate Deb Poland. Yeah. I nominate Deb Poland to be Vice Chair of the West Hartford Board of Education.
And I second that nomination. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? So moved. Our new chair, Vice Chair, Deb Poland. Now seeking a nomination for the position of Secretary. May I have a nomination?
I would like to nominate Ari as Secretary of the Board of Education for West Hartford Public Schools.
I will second that nomination. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So hear it, our new Secretary, Dr. Steinberg. And before we continue, I'd like to seek the following motion. Recommendation that the Board of Education appoint Ethan Goldman as a member of the West Hartford Board of Education to fill the position vacated by Mr. Mark Zadanowitz for the period of November the 16th, 2021 through November the 21st, 2023, and that Ms. Essie Lebrow swear in Mr. Goldman as a new board member.
I'd like to make that motion.
And I will second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Mr. Goldman, welcome.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge, according to law, your duties as a member of the West Hartford Board of Education to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or penalty of perjury?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, welcome again. Continuing on, I'd like to call for the nominations for 2 financial examiners. First nomination.
I'd like to nominate Deb Poland as one of the financial examiners.
And I second that nomination.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have it. Congratulations. And the second nomination.
I'd like to nominate Ethan Goldman to be our Republican financial examiner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have it. Congratulations. All right. Continuing on to unfinished business, which I believe we do not have any at this time. Any new business? Well, a lot has happened, but none to report on at this time. Staff communications and reports, the superintendent's report.
As is customary at this meeting, there's not a formal report. I just want to say congratulations and thank you to Ethan, Gail, and Claire for stepping up for the children of West Hartford, and also to Amanda, Mark, and Liz, my friends now, I can say that, now that you're not on the board. Hopefully you'll consider me that way. Mark was, as he mentioned, part of the crew that hired me, so nobody here is to blame anymore. It sits out there in the ether. But to all of you, one of my favorite quotes is from Aristotle as a history teacher, and that's that politics exists for the sake of noble deeds. It's a paraphrase, but I think of that all the time, that why do we do this? It's for noble actions. It's not for self-aggrandizement. It's not because we're so important. It's the body politic needs people to serve. And I so appreciate, as a citizen, as a history teacher, as someone who taught American government, your willingness to step forward, all of you, and answer the call at what is a very difficult time. When people just want to tell us how different we are, how we can't come together. This is the example of where we can. This is the example where you can disagree without being disagreeable. And I've been so proud to work with the previous members of the Board of Education. I look forward to working with all of you because West Hartford's a very special place. Our kids are very special people. Our teachers, our administrators, the people that work every day in what has been a extremely trying past 2 years. Not that any year is all that hot. I mean, things happen every year. But what people have worked for and what you are all willing to step into as a member of the American body politic, thank you so much for taking that chance now. And I just, hopefully I'm speaking for the people of West Hartford in wishing you all well. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Team, any questions or comments for our superintendent? All right, thank you so much. All right, keeping moving along. Staff reports and board discussions. I don't believe we have any at this time. Moving right along to routine matters, approval of the minutes. Seeking approval of the minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting of November the 3rd, 2021. Recommendation that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of that date, November the 3rd, 2021. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Just a note before we vote that only the people who were on the board for that meeting should vote on this motion.
3 abstentions.
Yeah.
What if I wasn't here? It's good to ask them to stay. Sorry, that's all right, that's all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So, 2, all right.
3.
3, that's right, thank you. All right. Continuing on to communication. Oh, we're already there, board members, we've already done that part. Reports from other boards, other boards and organizations. Do we have any reports from any other boards or organizations? All right. Other information and discussions. Hearing none. Non-staff communications and reports. Reports from our student board representatives, starting with Avery.
Good evening. At Hull High School this week, we've begun parent-teacher conferences today, which will continue until the end of the week. The boys cross-country team placed 5th in the New England Championships. Avery Allen, Walker Beverly, Nora Holmes, Isaac Mahler, and Kate Sanderson were cross-country all-state honorees. Varsity football is competing against Conard this Saturday after defeating New Britain last week. Hall Theater's Almost Maine has been cast and production is underway in the Black Box. And the student government is planning homecoming for this year. More information soon to come.
Thank you, Avery. Andrew?
Conard is also having parent-teacher conferences this week. Also starting this week are the 10-minute plays, which will be held after school Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Fall sports are wrapping up, and I'll highlight just a few pieces about fall sports. Girls swim and dive, Conard students placed, or a Conard student placed first in the Class L Girls Diving Championship, and also 2 Conard students placed first and second respectively in the 100-meter breaststroke for the Class L Swimming Championship. Also, this past week on Friday, Conard football beat Southington for the first time in a decade, so that was exciting. And we'll also definitely, we'll be playing Hall this coming week, so do come to that game. Veterans Day, we recognized Veterans Day in school, and there was a great school-wide panel of veterans who both have ties to Conard directly and indirectly, and it was really great to hear from them about that and their experience in the military. We're also having homecoming with more information to follow on that too.
Thank you, Andrew. Now on to future business, announcements of meeting dates. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, December the 7th, 2021, 7 p.m., right here at the Town Hall in the Legislative Chamber, room 314. Thereafter, on Tuesday, December the 21st at 7 p.m., here at the Town Hall, we'll have our next meeting here in the Legislative Chamber in room 314. Are there any requests for any future agenda items? Before moving on, I just would like to take a point of privilege just to acknowledge our new board members and say how wonderful it is to have our collective team here. We certainly appreciate those that were once with us, but know that we are going to continue moving forward in a productive way. And just want to share the quote from Henry Ford, who said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." So look forward to working with all of you. And with that, we'll now see if we have any comments from visitors. Hearing none, we do not have an executive session, so we'll now seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are adjourning on this day at 6:50.